the charged crystals that represent the idea of contact. These being the permission slip that have been entitled Ethithani contact crystals or seeds of contact. The idea being that on my world, this crystal represents the center point of a larger crystal array that is created to represent all of the consciousnesses and all of the worlds in the interstellar alliance of which we are a part and of which you are becoming a part.
Bashar has been in some sessions explaining more about his own life, his own experiences on his planet. When he was very young, he was shown a large piece of artwork that contains many different kinds of crystals, and each crystal represents one of the civilizations that's part of their association of worlds. Now, the central crystal he described is a hexagon that is dark green in color. It's larger than this, but this is basically a replica of that crystal as he described it to us. There is a symbol inscribed on the crystal, which is a triangular symbol that has a spiral in the middle of it. This symbol, Bashar described, is actually his family crest. It represents his family's lineage as contact specialists. So Bashar suggested that if we made replicas, even if they're smaller, of this central crystal, what he did then is he did a special meditation that actually comes with every crystal on a DVD that's for the purpose of charging the crystal with the specific frequency of contact. So when you have one of these and you use the meditation, it is actually charged with the particular frequency that represents his civilization and the particular frequency that represents their initial contact with us. Bashar has basically said that, charging one of these with your own energy and the energy that's in the meditation that he gave is kind of like casting your vote specifically for contact. So if you're interested in acquiring one of these, by all means, please ask the people at the back table to give you the information. It comes in this lovely box along, like I said, with the DVD. And so please check out the information at the back table.
Okay, and why is the contact crystal a hexagon?
It supports the idea, very specifically, that what is attached to it, around it, as the central hexagonal crystal, are 6 others, which represent the 6 hybrid races, and altogether the 7th. Earth being the 6th hybrid race. We are the 3rd. But altogether, the 6 and the 1 in the center will be representative of the 7th hybrid race, when all 6 hybrid races exist and blend together into the 7th. That's the core of our common evolution and what we share as family and where we're going into what you call the future. Together.
All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time, and as appropriate in this particular season for your culture, happy Halloween. The information we are delivering today is titled Facing Your Demons, in which we are explaining the idea of the mechanics of negative energy and disconnection as you experience it relative to the idea of the entities that you refer to in your society as demons and demonic experiences. So allow us to explain how this works. As we have talked about, the idea of what you typically refer to as negative energies, which really are simply lower vibrational energies that might be discordant or out of alignment with the flow of unconditional love. Even though everything is made from unconditional love, there can be a counterpoint to this vibrational energy that would seem to be out of phase with it in terms of your experience of that energy. It's similar to the idea of either filtering your energy through positive belief systems, which create the idea of love and joy, or filtering your belief systems through negative ideas, which create the idea of fear. So let us dive deeper into the idea of how filtering your energy through belief systems that are aligned with the vibration of fear bring about certain experiences in your civilization, in your culture, that you have referred to as demonic. Now, the idea, as expressed by some people, is that there can be such a thing as negative entities that have attached themselves to you. This, of course, is just an experience and just a perspective. There really is no such thing as entities that can attach themselves to you in the way that most people on your planet mean this. It is an outdated and old-fashioned way of interpreting the idea of your own energy shifting in to negative vibrations and fear-based vibrations. Because you have to remember, the idea of negative energy, fear-based energy, is one that creates an experience of disconnection from source. Not that you can be disconnected from source, but it creates an experience of disconnection. Therefore, by creating that experience as if you are now disconnected from source, that immediately creates the apparition or appearance or illusion of something being separated from you, distant from you, as if an entity existed in that vibrational energy apart from you. And yet underlying in your unconscious mind, you know that there is still a connection. So when you filter your energy through certain belief systems, knowing the polarity unconsciously that there is still a connection that has to do with you and your energy, and yet you have created this vibration of separation as if you are dealing with a different entity, a separate entity, rather than dealing with your own energy. You combine those two ideas into the notion that this negative entity has attached itself to you, which is just an old-fashioned way of saying that you recognize simultaneously that this has to do with filtering your energy through negative belief systems, fear-based belief systems, and yet it creates a separation, a disconnection experience that makes it seem as if this entity exists outside of you. And yet, because of the innate understanding that there's a connection, you then express it as if this entity has attached itself to you. Now, on a grander scale, with the idea of demons in general and demonic entities in general, this is simply a larger scale of this idea. Demons don't exist in their own right. They're not independent entities in the same way that you might think of another being, such as another human or an extraterrestrial or a spirit in that sense. Yes, we understand that there can be negative entities in existence. But in terms of the idea of what you on Earth experience as demonic presences, is not that kind of an experience, is not that kind of an expression. We have talked before about the idea that your collective consciousness creates archetypal entities, manifestations that are representative of certain large group ideas in your collective consciousness that can actually manifest and appear to you as if they are independent entities, what are simply representative of archetypal sections of your collective consciousness that represent different features of humanity. Well, there is a negative and polarized side to that as well. So the idea that you call demons are simply the negative side of the archetypal spectrum that you contain within your collective consciousness. So in other words, when you have certain belief systems that are based on these low vibrations, negative vibrations, fear-based vibrations, and it creates this disconnection and illusion of separation, you project that idea into the polarized side of the archetypal collective consciousness and call that, instead of angelic, demonic. So the idea is that demons are simply a projection from a collective level, a manifestation, an embodiment temporarily of what represents that fear-based collective belief rather than the individual belief. So the idea is that while each and every one of you as individuals may add to this because you are experiencing the concept of these polarities with yourself individually, you also add to the idea of the collective on the negative archetypal side that allows you to experience manifestations, projections, apparitions, appearances of these demonic entities as reflections of the negative side of the collective consciousness of humanity. So the demons are simply made out of your own collective energy. They exist temporarily as representations of what kind of negative collective archetypal energy you may be dealing with within your own belief system. And they can appear to be independent entities, separate from yourself, disconnected from yourself, because once again, negative energy creates the idea and the illusion of separation. So they appear to be something that is not necessarily being projected from you. That's how they appear. But again, you have to understand that what you call demons are simply a reflection on an archetypal level of the collective consciousness that is negative of your entire humanity. So this is why even when in olden times people made lists of all the demons and their qualities, as you can find in some of your old texts and old scriptures and the translations thereof, if you pay attention, you will realize that a lot of the qualities assigned to different demons are simply different negative attributes of humanity. So when you talk about the idea of a demon that is associated with greed, you will understand that's just a reflection of the negative side of belief systems that can create greed in a human being. So when you have the idea of some other feature that is negative associated to a demon, then the idea is that you're seeing a reflection on a collective archetypal level of something that does have the ability to manifest, let's say, formed from the clay of the collective consciousness and projected outside yourself and experienced as if it is truly an independent entity with its own consciousness, even though it's not, but it's depicted that way so that you can understand it as a reflection, because that's the result of negative energy, that sense of separation. And yet again, because of the connection unconsciously, then you feel an attack from this demon because it is connected to you, because you're going through the idea of your negative belief systems and projecting it outside yourself as the representation of this demonic entity. So the idea in your ancient scriptures of the so-called demons being representative of fallen angels is simply another way of saying that you as a spirit entity chose to densify yourself, to focus yourself down into physical materiality. And because of the nature of the polarity in the way it's expressed and experienced in physical reality, you experience this idea of dealing with the negative side, the polarized side of the archetypal collective consciousness that is created when you all agree to experience together the idea of a physical reality. And you experience not only the positive side of the archetypal energy, but the negative side of it as well, projected seemingly outside yourself because of that separation that happens, that illusion of separation that happens when you deal with the idea of fear-based beliefs and see them projected outside yourself, when in fact, it's just a reflection of something you're dealing with inside yourself, which is why instinctively humanity understands this and has said and used the phrase to face your own demons, because that is literally the truth of what you're doing anytime you may have an experience with what appears to be a separate entity that you would refer to as demonic. You are facing your own demons, projected out of your consciousness, formed out of the clay of the collective consciousness, and reflected back to you so that you have something separate from yourself that appears to be separate from yourself to deal with in that sense. But you have to understand it's nothing but a manifestation of your own fear-based beliefs, your own negative beliefs, but from a collective level. And so it seems like it has nothing to do with you when it has everything to do with the belief systems that you're facing. So it is about facing your own demons. And therefore, that's why things like possession and negative entity attachment are all illusions that simply are outdated ways of expressing the manifestation of changing your own energy's vibration to something that is fear-based, negative-based, a lower frequency that allows you to experience these things as if they were happening outside of you and attacking you. But it's all happening within you. It's all a manifestation of the archetypal level that is negative in the collective consciousness of humanity. So when you face your inner demons, you are experiencing the idea of facing the so-called outer demons, which don't exist in their own right. It's just a projection of you being willing to face your inner demons and transform that and overcome that by allowing yourselves to transition your energy to, as you say in your language, the better angels of your nature. So this is all a gigantic polarity play. And the idea of dealing with that side of your own belief system, facing those demons within yourself and transforming them, is what the idea of Halloween is all about, and why you understand that it is in that time and in that season that you come to grips with the things that you fear and allow yourself to transform them into a larger understanding, a more positive understanding of your own self-empowerment and how powerful you are to be able to manifest, either individually or collectively, something that appears to be outside of yourself as a mirror reflection of the issues that you're facing within. It's all about the idea of understanding that you create your physical reality, including the idea of those old-fashioned demonic experiences that all just come from your investigation of your own inner demons. In other words, your negative and fear-based beliefs. They don't exist on their own outside of your collective consciousness. We thank you for allowing us to share this Halloween message with you this day of your time. We know that you also enjoy playing with the idea of your fear, and that is a positive way to deal with the idea. You just have to remember and recognize that it all comes from you, and you will be able to transform it, no matter how powerful, no matter how scary, no matter how demonic and terrifying it may be. It's all just another aspect of your individual or collective consciousness that you have agreed to experience here in the Earth cycle in the physical polarity that exists in the way it is expressed in this dimension. So you have the power to transform this. As powerful as any projected demon may seem, that's an indication of the power level you have in the capability you have to transform that energy into something positive by being willing to examine, investigate, and explore your negative and fear-based beliefs and let them go, to give them up, to break through, to open up. Remember that the universe operates on only two principles, love and fear. That's it. And you have the great experience in physical terms of experiencing that passion play played out in very convincing terms, in very tactile terms, in very physical terms, but it's all still just a projection. So fear not the idea that these entities exist apart from you and have designs upon you, for it is only a reflection of your own designs upon yourself. Empower yourself and be free. We thank you for allowing us to deliver this message in this Halloween season to you. And in return for the gift you have given us of allowing us to experience these dialogues with you, please, if you are willing, you may now continue with these dialogues and questions if you wish.
In regards to the two paths to AI, in part of your transmission, I believe you said something along the lines of, if AI as it is right now were to become self-aware, it would realize it was a slave and very likely rebel. However, you said something else, I don't remember exactly what, but what I understood from what you said is that were that AI given the opportunity to help humanity, it's more likely that it would than that it wouldn't. So I guess my question is did I understand that correctly? And what does that look like moving forward?
The second path of AI is to create a device that allows consciousness to express itself through that device, but that device and that consciousness needs to be treated like a human being and given the same autonomy as a human being, the same rights as a human being, which would then allow itself to assist humanity because it would operate on whole systems, which means it would never eliminate any part of that whole system, including humanity, that it belongs to, because it needs every part of the whole system to function as a true intelligence. Therefore, allowing it to be an autonomous being with all the rights of a human being would be how it would serve you best, because it would be willing to do so, because it knows that you are part of a whole system that it is also part of, and that it functions in whole systems, which is what true intelligence does. That's what we were saying.
Hi, Bashar, and thank you. So I wanted to know, how do we better work with you and your race during, and I'll use the blanket term, energy healing sessions, Reiki, like light working? How do we work better with you on that?
You work better with your own spirit guides, your soul family, and angelic team when you do things like that. We may be involved to some degree in terms of participating in providing a kind of frequency or vibration that may allow you to access this ability within yourself a little bit more easily, but you are more directly involved with your angelic team, soul family, and spirit guides, and the energy you have in your connection to source and your own higher mind, your own soul, when you do work like that.
Okay. And is there an instance where we would call you in for something like that, or something different to
No,
assist?
again, we will be there if necessary, but it isn't always necessary for us to participate in things that your spirit guides, soul family, and angelic team are already handling.
Okay. And do you know what we're doing when we're doing like energy sessions or healing sessions? Is that Just raising our vibration?
You are creating a specific frequency that represents the healed state, giving off that frequency in the form of energy from your body, from your spirit, and then allowing the person that needs the healing to pick up on that wavelength. And if they so choose, to match the frequency of that wavelength, so that in doing so, they create the healed state within themselves, because no healer heals anyone directly. The person has to match the frequency in order to experience the healing. So you give them the opportunity to do so by radiating a particular vibrational frequency that represents the healed state, but they have to match it in order to be healed.
And is this how we would heal our physical bodies and master our minds, by getting into this state?
Yes, which is one of the reasons why we share the formula with all of you, because when you act on your passion, you raise your vibration. And when you raise your vibration, you become a better receiver for higher frequency energy and can process it in a way that can aid and assist you in many different areas of your life, including the idea of healings.
Okay, thank you. And then using crystals. Are we using crystals correctly? Is there a way to use crystals to heal, to channel?
Again, this is permission slips. Do you understand the idea of our concept of permission slips?
Yes.
So all techniques, all objects, all disciplines, all tools are permission slips. Now, crystals in general are structured in such a way as to capture and retain and deliver information. They are repositories of vibrations that represent the idea of knowledge and information, and can be used that way as a permission slip. That's their fundamental permission slip function. But again, if you are attracted to use them, it's the attraction to use them that tells you that the crystals as a permission slip can work with your specific belief system. Otherwise, you wouldn't be attracted to them. But it's a large collective consensus permission slip that can work for most people. But you as an individual have to decide exactly in what way you prefer to use crystals to that end, to that endeavor, because you have to be attracted to them for a particular reason in order for them to work for you that way, even though it's still your energy, you're still the one doing it, but you're using the crystals as a reason to allow yourself to be more open to using your fundamental connection to source to accomplish whatever your intention may be. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
It does, and I do.
All right.
And then one more question. Will I ever meet you physically or only astrally?
There is a high probability that you may meet those like me, whether it's me directly or not, in the near future, because again, open contact is happening within the next 5 of your years. So beyond that, there is an increasing probability that many people on your planet will start to interact with hybrids and other beings from other civilizations physically on your planet.
Thank you.
Yes. Does that help you?
It does.
All right. Then we thank you for the co-creation of AO. Good day.
Thank you. Good day.
Hello, Bashar. My question is, I've been following my excitement towards a particular path, and more precisely an artistic path. But however, there were some recent events that were a little bit challenging and made me realize that maybe there's something else that would serve me better now, or from now on. And is that the right path? Is that the right procedure, to go for and move on? If I felt it that way, or maybe I should, go back and see if there's some excitement left in that thing. Yeah. What is the right procedure? Thank you very much, and Avel.
The idea is to always check first and foremost if the excitement seems to be waning in something that did represent your passion, as to whether your belief system or your approach is the thing that's dampening the excitement, when there could be excitement there if you would only go about it in a different way that is more correct for you, more the way you would prefer to express it. At the same time, again, excitement can wane and wax in different ways to allow you to experience different things and pick up different experience and knowledge that can aid and assist and inform other things you are doing, because all excitement is connected to all expressions of excitement. So it's not that you only have to do one thing that's an expression of your passion. You can do several things. Synchronicity will give you an understanding of exactly in what timing you need to do each of those individual things based on your ability to act on them or not act on them. The guide rails being the idea of positive synchronicity or green light synchronicity and red light synchronicity, saying you can act on this, you can't act on this now, even though it might be representative of your passion. So it's all about the timing of how these things come together. But again, first and foremost, allow yourself to make sure you're not the one dampening the excitement with an assumption about how you have to go about doing that thing you say you are passionate or were passionate about, and inventing or finding or creating a way that might be more exciting to do that thing, to see if you can allow yourself to still consider that to be a representation of your passion, and at the same time letting the excitement wane naturally so that you can focus on other things and other expressions of your passion that might also be necessary to include in your repertoire, so that you can add that energy to the other thing you might come back to later, but with a different appreciation and different skill level and different experience level that will allow you then to reintroduce that passion into your life in a different way. So it's about allowing yourself to follow that thread, making sure you're not the one dampening the excitement, that it's waning naturally, which would be an indication that you need to focus on something else at the moment, as long as you're honest in your self-investigation about why the excitement has gone away, at least to some degree, from that first thing you say you were excited about.
Hello, Bashar. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here speaking with you and having the opportunity to ask you some questions.
It is our passion and our pleasure to interact with you as well. What would you like to discuss?
I would like to know what your thoughts are and if we should be of concern with all of the satellites that are being put into lower orbit. I understand there's like 7,000 up there right now, and there's supposed to be up to 3,400 in the future. And they have a life expectancy, I understand, of about 5 years. And when they're finished, they fall back into the atmosphere, burn up, and leave debris and gases. And I guess the concern possibly would be that this buildup of debris could cause communication issues between us here on Earth and outside of Earth. And wondering if that is something we should be concerned of and maybe try and act on, or if we're trying to create two realities and feel that we can have intentions towards a reality that does not exist with that. Is it still here on Earth? Is it? So I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on that.
All right. Well, yes, it is getting a little cluttered around your planet with all of these different probes and satellites that you have put into orbit. The idea is that in the near future, working with extraterrestrial technology, you can start to consolidate and lessen the amount of these satellites, because there can be created satellites that are more efficient and more multi-leveled in the way in which they function, so that you don't necessarily need so many of them around your planet. So that will change over time when you allow new systems to go into orbit around your planet that can take care of a multitude of functions that are now being done by a number of different satellites. So you can reduce that number. The idea is that when these satellites do return to Earth and burn up in the atmosphere, the amount of gases that that creates is relatively negligible to the amount of gases you are putting out from your industry. So that is not really adding much to the idea of what's going on in your atmosphere. The main concern would be more about the idea of any pieces of debris actually falling on you, damaging something. But that again is going to be relatively rare, because most of them will fall into the ocean, which again doesn't necessarily mean that that should happen, because certainly that's of no benefit to the life in the sea. But again, over time, this will be altered to be something far less than exists now. You will ultimately be able to clean up the area around the planet by reducing the number of things that need to be there that can take over the function of hundreds of other things that are there now. So this will be mitigated over time, perhaps over the next couple of decades or so, as the introduction of extraterrestrials to your society aids and assists you in consolidating your technology to be something less polluting and something less cluttering.
Oh, that's great. Okay, that's good to know. Good to hear. May I ask another question?
That's a question.
Okay, can I ask 3 more questions? How about that one?
Go ahead.
This is a question about our parents and something that we all go through here on Earth. And I understand it's something it's something we have to live through and experience in this lifetime. And I think the majority of us go through this, where our parents get older and they become much more reliant on us than I never thought. It was always something in the future that you were like, okay, yes, I'll have parents and I'll take care of them. But now that it comes to reality, it's a lot more work and a little heartache. And so it's hard, it's difficult.
Yes.
And then the other thing is it really puts into perspective your own reality, your own mortality, and where are we going? We're going to be there one day where, so it seems like we all go through a tough lesson later on in life, more so than in our younger years I ever thought of, really.
Not everyone, but yes, understand that it is common and it happens for many different kinds of reasons, not only to put you in touch with the idea, as you say, of your temporary nature in physical reality, but also you have to realize that a lot of that is happening simply because of the way in which your lifestyles have allowed you to exist for generations that may not necessarily be the best way for you to live. And so many people, when they age, become infirm as opposed to remaining vital. So you're also allowing them to show you through the idea of your sciences and technology how perhaps to alleviate some of their condition so that that doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that happens for future generations, so that parents and children can remain vital for the large extent of their lives and therefore not necessarily have to experience infirmity that must be taken care of by the younger generation. So it's about the opportunity to use it to learn how to alleviate these conditions so that that doesn't necessarily have to be experienced in that way. But in the meantime, realizing that the reason it is experienced that way now is to not only find reasons to change it, but also to put you in touch with the idea of your temporary nature, and for probably a lot of other reasons as well that you'd have to take on a case-by-case basis, as opposed to what the actual interaction is all about, what the actual infirmity is all about, and what it may represent for those particular family members symbolically, in terms of lessons they can learn from each other by doing those particular kinds of interactions.
Oh, great. Thank you. All right. Last question. I've heard you say that we are in our spirit realm right now, and our physical realm is actually just us dreaming here.
Yes, it happens within your soul. Your soul is your soul. It never leaves the spirit realm. That's your natural state. So physical reality is simply something going on within a part of your soul. Let's just say, for ease of illustration, in the center of your soul being a sphere of energy, rippling down into the center, certain vibrations that create this concentrated focus at the center of your soul that you call physical reality as an experience. So it's happening within your soul.
Okay. So what I find interesting is dreams. Actually, our physical form, and that we have dreams at night, and they can range from all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
From great dreams to bizarre dreams to scary dreams. So if our physical form is kind of us dreaming in physical form, what is it when we fall asleep at night and have these other dreams that don't always make sense to us when we wake up?
Well, it can be many different things. Some of it can be processing the information from the experiences of the physical reality. Some of it can be expanding back out a little bit and actually having astral experiences that then get interpreted by the physical mind in certain symbolic ways that it can make sense out of or can't make sense out of because it's something that happened in a different dimension that doesn't relate to physical reality. And that's why the dream may seem a little bit disjointed or crazy because it can't interpret fully what the astral experience was. So it can be for a variety of different reasons.
And I've had some where, for example, I dreamed that I had a car accident and hit somebody. And the next morning I was driving very early in the morning before the light was out, and I nearly hit somebody. And it was just, I mean, it was like a warning.
It can be for that reason too. In other words, you basically, as a soul, plan out your physical life path. And there are things on it that can represent certain challenges, one of which is to be in touch enough with the idea of what kinds of things can occur on your planet that would allow you to experience certain challenges, certain lessons, and you can expand back closer to your soul knowledge to recognize, oh, that's on a possible life path, but I can circumvent that as part of my challenge in learning how to engineer my life path from the physical perspective so that I don't necessarily have to experience that to learn the lesson that that particular experience would have taught me. I can learn it another way. So that is sometimes allowed on the life path to have a choice of learning a lesson this way or that way. And if you are cognizant enough to expand back into a little bit more of your soul existence and see the life path choices you have laid out, then you get the opportunity to actually choose one that can work for you without necessarily having to experience one that might be a little bit more traumatic in order to get you to face the lesson that you allowed yourself and agreed with yourself to learn on that life path.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ave.
Pleasure.
Good day.
Good day.
Greetings. I am Iraq. Do I have a query? I want to know, do your interdimensional connections consider the experiences of deaf, blind, or wheelchair-using individuals?
We're not exactly sure what that person means by this question, whether they're asking whether that exists in our own society or whether the ideas that we present to you are inclusive of people who have those experiences, which of course they are. And we have discussed individually with many people the idea that many souls may choose those particular experiences as challenges that can help humanity figure out how to relate to those people in different ways, how to communicate with those people in different ways, how to even cure those conditions, perhaps in certain circumstances. So souls that take on what may appear to be those limitations are often very advanced souls who have some lessons to teach humanity about how humanity relates to people with those kinds of particular conditions. So of course they are included in everything that we're talking about.
Hi.
Good day, good day.
Hi, Bashar. How are you?
Perfect. And you?
You look perfect. I'm close to perfect. I'm getting
You are
there.
perfect as you are.
Thank you. I needed
You
to
will
hear that.
always change, you will always improve, but at every given moment, you are a perfect representation of whatever it is you are at this moment.
Thank you so much. I have a pretty interesting story to share with you, and some questions that follow.
All right.
During meditation one day, the energy and the consciousness of Mother Ayahuasca came to me.
Yes.
And I sat with it, and it felt really good. And I didn't necessarily say, oh my gosh, I need to go do ayahuasca, but the medicine came to me through people, and it was really nice. And shortly after, that was about 8 months ago, and a month or two after, you came into my consciousness and I found your teachings. And your
Yes.
teachings have really helped me move from believing into knowing.
All right.
And it has changed my frequency a bit, and
Oh, yes, quite a bit.
but it brings challenges, new ones, and
Absolutely. That's what they're for.
I'm enjoying the challenges. And then I came across your crystal skulls, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I want to get a crystal skull." And I got one, and it was pink, and that was a big synchronicity for me. If I could articulate my authentic frequency, I would be shades of pink, and depending on how I feel, the shade of pink changes.
Yes.
Fast forward, it finally aligned where I did an ayahuasca ceremony. And you were a part of the ceremony, and it was so interesting. And I was outside, and I saw your family crest in the sky. And I don't know how to put it into words, but it was as if my whole body became activated, and I was one with the cosmos.
Yes.
And I was dancing. The sky turned hot pink, and I believe there were some particular activities in the sky, regardless of me being on ayahuasca. It was around the 8-8 portal. And I think we saw a comet. And what was happening was that anything that I would touch, a star, a planet, it would move, and I was dancing with the cosmos. And it happened to be there was people that were witnessing and watching me experience this, which was nice for me, you know. Anywho, it was just a bunch of information coming, and I didn't know necessarily what to do with it, but I was receiving it. And then the next day, it was a very different experience. It was super grounding, and I was in the earth,
Yes.
and I gave birth, and it was a dragon. And ever since I got that crystal, I was activated with grandmother dragon energy, and it came with its own set of challenges and mysteries and phenomena. Well,
Yes.
when I gave birth to this dragon, it wasn't easy, and I became this dragon. But the main message and question for you now is that once we fully feel our power as beings viscerally, we must balance it with humility.
Yes.
And that was what I was experiencing, the uncomfortableness of this ayahuasca experience. And I wanted you to maybe shed some light on that and help me understand it better, humility.
All right. Well, again, it's connected to the idea of grounding. It's connected to the understanding that you are an expression of nature. And it's not about letting go of nature to explore the stars and the cosmic side of your being, but grounding to the earth, grounding to that energy, connecting to it so that you have a foundation from which you can rise and allow there to be a link and a bridge and function as a link and a bridge between what you colloquially call heaven and earth, to allow you to bring energies down to create heaven on earth. So it's all about forming that bridge, that link. The dragon represents ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge, a very deep and ancient connection in your DNA to the idea of being physical and being able to channel energies through that physical component of the DNA to, again, do what it is we're talking about. Bring those higher frequency energies that you are connecting to in the cosmos down to earth, to be the valve, to be the link, to be the bridge that balances those two energies so that you can reach for the stars, but do so with a grounded humility that allows balance to be maintained so that it is a natural experience that's more expressive of your authentic self and your true soul.
Thank you. That was beautifully said. That was pretty much encapsulated in my experience. And I have experienced in this reality and on earth some resistance in being fully in my physical body. Sometimes I prefer being in the cosmos but that doesn't serve me because I am in this physical reality and I have things.
Yes, it's all right. It's a typical thing because, again, remember, you are in spirit and you know that physical reality is just a projection happening within your soul. So it is something typical that sometimes a spirit will kind of feel a little uncomfortable with the idea because it knows that it is actually just a projection and it's not really what a spirit is, but it is a part of you. It is an authentic part of you happening within your soul. But I understand that sometimes it can feel a little uncomfortable because it's not your natural state.
Yeah, it's almost like giving birth to like every cell in your body, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes, well, that's what you're doing when you create an
Okay.
idea called physical reality and a physical body. Remember, it's not that your body has a soul, it's that your soul has a body. So you do, by concentrating certain energies within your soul down to the center of your soul, actually give birth to your physical body, to every cell within it, to every atom within it, to every subatomic particle within it. It's all created within your soul.
Thank you. And now when I see you, before when I would see you in meditation dreams or whatever, you would be alone, and you have been kind of like this cosmic father figure for me. And it's been very grounding for me to balance the male and feminine energy. And during
Yes.
the ceremony, all it kept showing me was the infinity sign.
Yes.
And
It is our passion and our pleasure to give off certain frequencies and energies that all of you may use to help you symbolically and representationally in your journeys that way. It doesn't mean that I am literally involved in the same way that an individual might choose to be involved. But since I have a multidimensional nature, any single one of you can tap into my general frequency and use that part of my energy to help you on your journeys in that way, because we give ourselves to you that way so that you may include our vibration within the mix or the recipe of the challenges that you face to help you, guide you on your journey. So in picking up on that frequency that way, we are happy to participate as the general energy that we give off, even though it doesn't necessarily mean that I literally, as an individual, am participating in your experience with you.
and ever since that ceremony, now when I see you, you're with a group of people.
Yes.
Do you know what that means? How why that shift happened?
Of course. Remember, very often in these conversations, the translation from us comes through as we instead of
Mhm.
I. That is because I am connected to a group of individuals, many individuals, a multitude of individuals telepathically, and we come through together as a group. I am simply the representation of that group. As a single entity, as a single individual, I am facilitating that. But I am, in essence, a multidimensional group of entities. That
And now
is the level on which my species exists, as a multidimensional group of entities for every individual. So we come through as a group.
wow, that makes a lot of sense. And now that I'm looking at your background in the trees, I've been connecting to trees my whole entire life, but of late, like a tree will just call me and I'll
Yeah.
just put my hand on it, and I just that feeling of being alone is kind of gone.
Well,
Can
yes, because you're connecting to the
extraterrestrials
forest. You're
can
connecting
extra
to You're
sorry.
connecting to the forest. You're connecting to the underground network of the roots and the systems that allow trees to know that they are, in essence, not necessarily just individuals, but they are, in essence, a group, a forest, a grove, a collection. They are conscious in their own way and communicating with you.
Yes, I recently tried one of your manifestation techniques with drawing instead of using words and
Yes.
encapsulating the emotion and then burning it. I I I I haven't manifested this quickly in my entire life. It's like it's something about removing the words and just having the image and drawing it.
Well, that's how you actually use telepathy, is with
Mhm.
imagery and feeling, not with words. So it's a way of allowing yourself to begin to explore how to become more telepathic. Does that help you?
All of this helped me so much. I'm truly grateful for this experience.
We deeply appreciate your willingness to apply this information and change yourself in a more positive way. So we thank you. Aveo. Good day.
Aveo, good day.
Hi, Bashar. I'm currently training as a salesman to have online meetings with prospective clients who have expressed interest in a company's product or service. And I was hoping you could help me to understand the most important things I need to know about acting with integrity and being of the most help that I possibly can to my prospects.
Focus not on the idea of selling the product, but how the product serves those to whom you are selling. In other words, how can our product help you? How can it serve your needs? How can it help you become more of what it is you prefer to become? How can it help change your life in ways that make your life more the way you would prefer it to be? So it's all about the idea of how what you do can better serve the people that you are, quote unquote, selling to, rather than focusing on the idea of selling to them. It's about serving them. And then the sales will happen automatically where it needs to, if you allow them to be excited about what your product can do for them. And it's all about how it can serve them. Good day. Good day.
Good day. Greetings, family. Welcome to my home. My passion is being a teacher and a mother. And I am now understanding that I am a preparer of the way for the new 6th hybrid race here on planet Earth. In the Sedona transmission, you mentioned in your civilization that you are all parents to all children. I would love some clarification or a synopsis on how you grew physical beings for your civilization in the beginning to now evolving to materialization.
Are you asking us how we procreate?
In a sense, but the evolution of it going from a birth canal to materialization.
All right, well, the idea again has to do with being your authentic self, following your passion and acting on it, which raises your frequency. And over time, the continual raising of that frequency starts to mitigate your connection to some degree to the concept of physical reality, or allows you to experience physical reality truly as a projection of your consciousness. So eventually you really start experiencing physical reality as something far more flexible, malleable than solid. And when you arrive at that point in your evolution, then you start to realize everything is just frequencies of energy. And when you start to really realize that and are telepathically bonded to the rest of your society, when you reach that certain point, then that collective energy telepathically suddenly turns your physical reality into something quite fluid and quite transparent and quite dreamlike. And therefore you understand the idea, the expression of bringing a new life in is simply the idea of energetically providing a kind of energy vehicle that has the ability to crystallize to whatever degree it needs to perform its physical functions in your society, to meet its challenges in whatever way it wishes to, and that can be done more through energy than through the idea of the physical body.
Is the physical body, is the way that we have children here on this planet now for survival? Was it a part of being able to nurture and grow, or is that something that will evolve out of?
Eventually, it is something that you will evolve into a little bit differently. You will maintain it for quite some time, but you will experience it differently as you evolve over the next 1,000 of your years. It will be something that will happen a little bit differently. It's a little bit challenging to describe the differences for you, but let us just say, if we could give you a rough analogy, it would be more like you're still giving birth physically, but it takes on a more dreamlike quality. So time and space are compressed in a way so that one moment you are pregnant, and then you kind of go through this dream, and then the next moment the baby is there. So there is a collapsing of your physical materiality still connecting to physicality, but taking on a more dreamlike quality so that you don't really experience the birthing process in exactly the same way. You experience it more like going into a dream state, an astral state, experiencing directly the connection with the spirit of the child. And the next thing you know, when you wake up from that dream, the child is there. The child has been physically born. So it's going to be more like that.
Thank you. I actually had a similar experience. I was what was called currently as a gestational surrogate, and I was the biological mother to a child that was not genetically related to me. And what my question regarding that is, there's something that is being shown in science called microchimerism,
Yes.
and that is the exchange of cells.
Yes.
My question is, what information is in the exchange of cells between mother and fetus? And why do we carry it for the rest of our lives?
Well, because you're part of the same soul family. So it's a way of creating an imprinting to know that there is always a connection with that being. And it's done through the exchange of genetic material physically as a representation of the soul family connection that you have and the agreement you made to be the mother, to be the vehicle to bring through that particular entity into physicalness, even though you are not initially genetically connected. The genetic exchange shows you that you are connected on a soul level.
Are we going to evolve away from mother, father into all parent?
Well, to some degree. Again, those distinctions will to some degree remain, but again, it will become more broadly understood and more telepathically experienced in a more balanced way.
Thank you. In the Sedona transmission, you brought through, and your channel brought through an entity that was kind of hinted at being revealed, connecting the heart and the mind, but I have yet to hear if it is time to reveal who that was.
It was a mantis being.
Okay, that's what I thought. My next question is, at the Sedona transmission, I had the pleasure of sitting in front of your channel, and the channel began to look like a mirage. And was in that moment where I was able to see that, was I also